Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing you a brand new review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Joker Folie À Deux, however it's pronounced. This is of course the sequel to Joker, a musical sequel, still directed by Todd Phillips, and I'm going to be giving some spoiler-free thoughts on this film. I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the pre-production, my thoughts on the original after almost 5 years of the release, and anything I think warrants being discussed in this review today. So that is my lovely little polite intro, but I do want to flag, I've mentioned this is spoiler free. There is going to be a spoiler discussion coming next week on the channel, probably early next week. We are working on dates, we've got a lot of videos we're filming at the moment, and I'll round out those in a little bit more detail towards the end. But before I get into anything more, I do want to hear from people at home, so please do comment your thoughts on Joker. If you've seen the second film, you're watching it down the line, I'm really curious to know people's thoughts on this. If you haven't seen it yet, I want to know what you think of this being a musical, your thoughts on the original. Are you excited? Are you not? Are you looking forward to the new casting with Lady Gaga? It's a really divisive sequel, I think, from the moment this was announced, and kind of that's where my thoughts stem with this too, that I have been sort of 50-50 on the shelf of this the whole time. The first Joker came out, I really enjoyed it at the time. I rewatched it a few months later and it just didn't click for me. I didn't really go back to it, if I'm honest. It's something, the more I've thought about, the more I've sort of actively disliked it. I'm in that crowd, sorry, I just think it's a rip-off of loads of Scorsese 70s films, especially King of Comedy, and it's really hard to not look past that. It just feels like a rip-off, just in a DC shell. Yes, it made $1 billion on a $25 million budget, that's a great thing for the industry. It won an Oscar, of course, multiple Oscars actually. There's just something that I haven't really wanted to go back to, and I think a character like the Joker, we've done loads of DC videos recently, I think of you Jack Nicholson's, I think of you Heath Ledger's. I still don't really see Joaquin Phoenix as one. No matter how great an actor he is, I've really sort of pushed away from this, so I was a bit nervous about this. And then they cast Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, and then they said the sequel was going to be a musical, and I was still somewhat doubtful, only because I didn't think Todd Phillips is capable of making a musical. I don't think it's an easy genre for someone just to jump into. And then to make a sequel to the drama of the first one, a musical, I think instantly you lose a lot of general audience with that. What I've noticed in the last few weeks is a lot of the general audience, people I know, people that aren't necessarily big on film or follow it, none of them knew that Joker 2 is a musical. They may have seen the trailer. Like many modern film trailers, they're avoiding discussing the musical aspects. And now I've seen the film, I think that's going to be an issue. I've never experienced this. I've been very lucky at the press screening today. I saw a few people walk out during a musical sequence, which was really random. It's at the IMAX in Leicester Square. There's a lot of people in that cinema auditorium, but just a lot of people went during one of the musical numbers, and I feel like that could happen in cinemas. I think this is tracking for a relatively low opening, but if I start giving my thoughts on this sequel, I'm going to be really blunt. I did not really care for this. I wanted to. I mentioned I was doubtful, but there was a part of me thinking, okay, what if this film is good? What if the musical numbers are good? What if the sequences are good? We've seen Joaquin Phoenix sing, of course, back in Walk the Line. We've also obviously had Lady Gaga with her whole career. We've seen it at A Star Is Born and loads of other films, but it is something in which I wasn't sure if they'd be able to pull it off, and I think the issue is really Todd Phillips with this film. I don't think he's capable of translating musical lyrics onto a screen within performances, within set piece designs and whatnot. It really fell apart, and the idea of the musical was okay. I wasn't opposed to that. They put it in very sporadically in certain moments to look into the mind and characters a little bit more, but again, it's where I think the lack of ability in the musical genre really flows. I think if you have a different director, the film could be better, but it really falls apart with that. The stuff I really enjoyed about this film, on the other hand, is the stuff similar to the first one. I mentioned I didn't really enjoy the first one too much on rewatches, but a big chunk of this is set in the asylum after Brendan Gleeson, who I think is actually incredible in this film. I was surprised at how much he was in it, and I think he is on par with some of the other performances we get. A very stereotypical character, but something a little bit different. And if you look at this, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what part of DC this sits in these days. Obviously, it's not part of the DCEU, but this standalone, non-Matt Reeves, Gotham, Batman-verse, whatever you want to call it, the gritty 70s New York type thing, it works having these shady prison officers, and the best part of this film is the aftermath of what happened from the first film. It is leading up to the court case. It is the court case. What the character of the Joker did to multiple people around, the influence it's had on the public, what it could do having, a big part of the story is it's the first ever court case being broadcast live on TV. Those kinds of things were really interesting. The problem is with all the interesting stuff this film did, it doesn't warrant being a feature film. I feel there's a really good short film within the story, but there isn't a good feature film, and it really struggles that, which is why I feel like the musical side of things is just chucked in at certain moments, because it feels like they're trying to just get the time by. It's 2 hours of 15 runtime. There's 2 or 3 moments where you feel like the film can end and it doesn't end and it carries on. And I hate thinking about that when I'm at the cinema, counting the clock, thinking when can I get home. But I have to say, although I've got issues with the structure, with the direction, the pacing, I don't have an issue with the performances. I think Joaquin is very good in this. I don't think he's as good as he is in the first one. Obviously at this point it's a sequel. He's playing that same character physically. He's great again when you look at his weight loss and how sort of horrible he looks in a nice way, that we're seeing this dishevelled Arthur Fleck character. And then you bring in Lady Gaga as Lee, as they call her, obviously Harley Quinn. She adds an interesting dynamic in it, but she isn't in it too much. And I've got to talk about false marketing campaigns as well. This film sits in this modern trend of, let's put these really big trailer moments in and we're not going to put it in the film. Now, I never mind too much. I know Infinity War did it. They put the Hulk in when he wasn't really in it. I don't mind something like that. That scene still exists. But what films are now doing is they're just creating scenes for trailers. And these aren't dailies. These aren't, we just happen to shoot this day. This is, we've got them in the makeup. We're going to shoot this sequence in this iconic location. We're not going to show it. Guess what? Here's another important location. We've advertised that. We're not going to show that too. It's very strange that they keep doing this. And it's not exclusive to Joker. It's happening a lot with modern blockbusters. There was a very weird Anna Diarmas court case recently. It's a very strange, bizarre marketing technique. And I feel like there'll be some people that go to watch this that are fuming, not just because of missing shots or things they thought would be in it, but obviously the fact that it's not been marketed as a musical. And in fact, it's quite a poor musical. I don't think the songs are really that good in it. And it feels like it wants to be a musical, but it's not sure if it can be. So all this weird press cycle of Todd Phillips and the others saying, well, it's not a musical, but we are expressing emotions through music. That is the musical. It's just you're not a very good musical. Which then takes you back to the purpose and point of this film is, what is the purpose and point of the film? If it's a poor musical, but the selling point's a musical, but you're not going to sell it as a musical, don't make it, don't release it. It would be a good short film. Obviously, you can't release a short film in a cinema. No one's going to care about a 45-minute Arthur Fleck film. And as I said, the idea of what happened after the first film is interesting, but that can only go so far. And I think the final act is rather outrageous in the sense of how, I think, stupid and far-fetched it gets. I can't see anything more than that until we get to a spoiler discussion next week. But yeah, it's a weird one for me with this film. Am I recommending it? If you really like the first one, you're probably on board. If you like musicals, maybe you'll try it, maybe you'll dislike it. If you don't like musicals, you're not going to like it. If you didn't like the first one, you're definitely not going to like this one. So it's a really weird one to talk about. I think it's going to be divisive. I think it's going to be split. I know some people might really enjoy this film. Some people might loathe it. But I feel like there wasn't any purpose for this to be made, and they failed on it. Again, if you get a good story, if you can warrant a story, you can warrant a sequel, go and film it, go and make it. But they didn't on this, and I think it, if I'm honest, comes down to the people involved behind the camera. Again, you bring a different director on board, it could be different, and I think Todd Phillips has already said there won't be a third one, so we can, thankfully have to worry about another one cropping up in 5 years' time. And it's a bit of a lousy way to end the review, but that's how I'm going to end this one. So yes, I'm not really recommending this film for people. As I said, I was lucky to see a press screening, and we will have a spoiler discussion next week where we can talk about a lot of these things in more detail. It's easier to do that when there's a few of us in discussion, bounce off ideas, see what people thought, see what people didn't think, and then we'll have a little bit more time to settle, see the numbers from the weekend, see what people think. So that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you want to follow us on social medias, you can go get us on linktree.com/cinemasavvy. That'll pop you through to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. We're posting a lot of reels, a lot of clips on Instagram now, so do check them out. But once again, thank you to all of our new subscribers, existing subscribers, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.